Hello, hello, hello. Hi, how you doing? I lost audio there for like 30 seconds, so forgive me there. Sometimes weird stuff happens. So how y'all doing today? William Davis here with A.P.C Photography, and I want to talk about Sony cameras today. The main thing of today is Lumix. Lumix has been the big question I've been asked every time I've been on a set recently. Uh, Essentially, what's happened is they have this thing called Open Gate. And first off, please forgive me, but I'm in our office here, and all of our conference rooms are full, so I'm not able to use my nice camera for this. So I'm just using a webcam. That being said, the big question I get asked all the time is why is Sony not innovating? Because we really want Sony to innovate, and I guess really what comes down to it is they have been innovating. They have been doing a good job and they've had great tools. And everyone says they don't have all of the tools, and because they don't have OpenGate now, they've fallen well behind. So if you watch this next video, we'll then get into what tools Sony actually has. So as you see there, that was behind the scenes of a shoot I was doing. This was today. Single camera setup. It's one of those where they were doing. We just didn't have a big budget. When to bring in everything underneath the sun, we just wanted to do some quick BTS and get a quick interview in. First and foremost, you saw on the screen that there was false color on the monitor, which was my cell phone. And then the other part of the screen, you saw this like you can see their image and then you can see a bunch of colors around it. That's called focus mapping. Essentially, all these features exist on Sony, but what they've done is they've decided to take advantage of like smart technology. A lot of times we find ourselves with these all the time. They have really good color accurate monitors and everything on them, and we have all the tools we can through apps. One advantage of it too is you can see I can walk around, I can be moving around, and I can start and stop recording, use all the tools, and I can sit down and do interviews really easy, which is one of the things I do a lot. And if anyone who's been doing shooting, one of the key things you're always doing is doing interviews, or you got a camera on a gimbal, things like that. What's really nice is you could be moving around and doing stuff and grabbing stuff, and an AC can actually use this to basically control what you're doing and how you're doing it when it comes to using one of these, amazing tools. Let me kind of walk you through some of the awesome tools that Sony does have on their phones. Well, it's not on their phones, it's on their apps that come with all of their cameras. So that's an A7 IV. So an A7 IV with a histogram, with false color and everything else. So let's kind of look at the tools they actually have. So here's the web page. It's for monitor and control features. It's the app that goes on the phone. So it goes on this right here. And what's really nice on that is it works flawlessly. And at first, I was a little skeptical because let's be real, who's going to trust a phone to be your monitor? But after using it a bunch of times, I don't think I could ever go back to even my Atomos at times, which I have a Ninja, I have a Connect 7 inch, and in both cases, um, it's just kind of like, oh, I lose some control. I don't have the features that I want that, on this. And, I don't want to have to plug a USB-C cable in to change features and controls. And I have all those controls on my phone. So let's look at some of the stuff we got here. As you can see, that you can like connect the phone directly to it, and it can be right on top of here. Now, this connection does not have to have any wires on it, which is nice. I really love the fact I don't have to have wires here. You can get precise exposure. So there's your histogram. You can see that right there. Oh no, that's exposure tool. Sorry, my bad. The other piece. Now, I don't know if you've ever had an AC pulling focus for you, but it does save you a lot of headaches. And this does have an AC type pulling for the focus, so you can put limits on where you're focusing to, so you can do your rack focus. You can also put limits on your f stops. So if you want to stay between f 1.4 and f2, you can make sure that's as far as it's going to go too, which is extremely cool tools that no one really talks about, but that's built into the camera. So you can actually control rack focusing even with an autofocus lens, and you can control your f-stop in any way you want. So if you don't want to go, as you're doing adjustments, you could have it where 1.4 to f2, and that's just to change the look uh, based on where you're pulling the focus. So if someone's a little bit closer in focus, you might want to go f2 to get a little more depth of focus. And if they're further away, you might want to go f1.4, and it'll give you that comparable depth of focus using distance to do it. And it's an extremely cool tool that, if you've been filming a lot, it's one of those tools you'll really find accurate and love. And like I said, with the exposure tools here are some of the exposure tools you have. So you have waveform monitoring, false color, histogram, zebra on display. It's pretty cool, but you have all those features on there. Next on your list here is you have the ability to do your color settings. So let's kind of go over here real quick. So imagine if you had an iPad and you're sitting down, you're having an interview with somebody, and they're looking you in the face, and you've got an offset of 10, 20, 30 degrees, just so you have that, they're looking off the screen from you, and you want to get all your colors set up and everything, and you want to look at them so you can see how their eye line looks instead of them looking up here at you. You can do that with this. And so you got the iPad, you're looking down, you're looking up, get all the colors, get all your false colors in place, get your LUT in the right position. You can do all your controls. So if you want to change your shutter or your shutter angle, you can change the recording format, you can put on looks and everything else, and it's all right there on the display, and it's really, really easy to do. Not every one has that, and it's really nice. This is how I use for recording, is being able to take an iPad, being able to take my smart device, set up all my cameras the way I need them set up, and then literally just controlling them from a device. If you've got an iPad and you've got everything on the network, you can control up to 4 of those for free cameras. And if you happen to have like a humongous setup where you want to do gen lock and you're doing interviews and everything else, what's really nice is you can control up to like 20 cameras with a MacBook, and there's a license for that, and it's pretty cool. So it's a nice feature, and that's one of the things I like about it. If you've ever been someone who's been working on cameras and getting the ISO and everything else you want right, all those same controls are right on the display of your phone or your tablet. So that's another thing that Sony does way better than everybody else. And this really works at getting your workflow faster. You have a couple options here too. You can, because someone's going to say, what about lag? What about this? You can plug in the USB-C cable directly into the camera, and it will take care of that for you. There's actually a way to even use the dongle life that we all have to have power to both the camera and the tablet, which is a really cool feature. You basically plug the dongle into the iPad, put the power supply in, then you take a USB-C cable out to the camera, and then both are being powered at exactly the same time from one USB-C cable, and then you have all the data transfer, which is absolutely phenomenal. And still having a iPad Pro, like if you need a 15-inch iPad Pro to be able to see everything properly, you can sit down there and then you can swipe out of the app and then you can have all your questions right there. This is especially good for like interviews, or if you're got a shot list and stuff like that as you're pulling off for the set. It's really, really nice. Another feature that's going to surprise you is the 4 camera setup. Let's see if I can get this to play. So you can have 4 cameras at the exact same time and control them from your iPad. And then you can go into each one of the scenes and shoot it. Let's see if I can get this thing to loop, because this is actually, let me go back here. But yeah, this cool. Like, if you've never shot like this, it seems stupid. But the moment that you've actually shot a video with this feature, you won't go back. It is hard for me to go back. This is the only reason why I was thinking about buying an iPad, was this, because it's that much of a difference. And then you can go into each one of the cameras separately. You can see the LUTs on them. You can see everything, and you can start recording all of them from one touch of a button. It's absolutely phenomenal. There's nothing else that does this, and that's called a multi-camera monitoring. Okay, so there's a couple of requirements, and I am an iPhone hater, and I will be buying either another iPad or a Mac to be able to do that. Most likely an iPad, because I like the big iPads. I usually use the smartphone, but as I'm doing more multi-camera interviews, I'm most likely just going to go over to an iPad. So that's pretty dang cool. Another couple of things that I really like is, you'll see these are examples of people who are actually out there shooting with these, and you've got like an AC or a producer sitting there saying, I want this shot done a certain way. You can see how that works. These things are some high nit stuff, and you can see and control, cameras over there on a jib, and he's controlling it from here. So you don't need any special, wiring and everything to make this work. And that's a very positive thing. Here's some like the precise exposure stuff. So let's kind of look through all of these things. So here's your waveform right here, which you can adjust the waveform. Now, this is pretty cool. So I do this a lot of times. So I'll get the waveform adjusted to where I can see it on the screen really easy. And then I'll put it to the side and then get out of my way. And then you'll see down here, you can see your shutter angles and stuff like that. And that's actually pretty cool tools. And you just turn the waveform on and off. Another piece that's really nice is false color. And man, I'm telling you, being able to do a false color on a large display with something I already use is amazing. And this is on all the Sonys now. So if you've got ZVE 10 Mark II, an A7 IV, A7R4, R5, R4, any of the FX series cameras, you get this, and it's free. And you can use your iPad, you can use your cell phone, and you've got all the tools everyone says you do not have, that Sony needs to update. Well, why throw it on the hardware when you've got a better tool right here that you use every single day that has all the stuff in it? Am I sponsored by Sony? No, but I'm telling you the reason why I didn't jump to Lumix, why I didn't jump over to Canon, why I didn't jump over the other ones. And I get asked this a lot. Like, I want the best tool for my client to get the best possible end result. And so far, Sony has the best tools. Imagine if I've got the ability to bring in an amazing person on lighting, because I don't have to bring in an AC on the set, because I can do a lot of the AC work myself. Magnifique. This is something that is super important, because when you have that capability, you can now bring in a better lighting person, you can bring in a better sound person, and you can give more options to people. And yes, sometimes you lose a job someplace else, but being able to give somebody more options is always a good thing. Uh, Once again, as we start getting into other features, I got histograms, we got zebras, and so we really do have all of the features here. The focus features, let's see if I can get this to pop on. This is cool. So you got an AC here. So you got an AC that's working with a tablet. And sometimes this is really nice to have too. He's got a big iPad. Touch transition is so phenomenal with Sony's, and you can change the speed at which that transitions too. So if that was too fast, you can actually change it to where it's a little bit slower and make it look like you went through the effort of a beautiful transition and focus pull. So it's one of those things where Sony has really taken this well past what you would think they could. And then there's the control bar. Now, I'm not sure if you've ever once you've used a control bar, and you start using these tablets, it's so much easier to use this camera than anything else I use. So if you want to watch this with me, you can. These videos are always boring, but it's pretty cool that they can show you how to use it. Now you see what I mean by focus pulling? That's beautiful. That's a beautiful scene. So depending on the camera too, you also get ND filter controls and a few other things. So if you're using like an FX6, you get a few more features. If you're using Burano, the PWX, now this is the cool part. So they do the PXWs with these too, and the HXR cameras. And this is why I love Sony, because they're doing it across cameras that start at $1,000 and go all the way up to like 30 grand. And these are all professional end cameras that are something that we get to use on some of the more advanced shoots. Now, focus mapping, if you've never used focus mapping, your world will change. So the A7R, the A7 series has it, the FX series has it, and let me show you what focus mapping, because it changes your life. It makes shooting a scene so much easier. So let me zoom in here. So you see those colors there? This is the cool part. You see the person, they're in focus. Get rid of this. All right, you see this? I'm gonna back up here. Turn on focus mapping. I do this on my camera all the time, but I can also do it on the tablet. This is so much better than focus peaking. Focus mapping, I can see what's in focus by seeing the person. Oh, I love this. Makes my life so much easier. And it's one of the best tools out there. And you can see it on the tablet. It's easier to see what's going on. I'm talking magnifique tools to just set things apart. I love working with this, and it's what makes Sony so much better than everybody else. Having all of these tools built into this, and this is all free. This is the part that's so cool. This is all free. There is a like a subscription version that gets you into like 20 cameras, but like you bought a Sony, you bought the license for this. You get this at the basic form. Here's where things are cool. Like you get the LUTs. So if you want to throw LUTs on and see what it looks like, you can do that. Now, here's a key thing. It's not all the cameras. There's still some of the older model ones like the A7 IV that just use the assist. But if you're using any of the cameras that allow you to upload a LUT onto the camera, it can also do the LUT control here, which is really, really awesome. One of the reasons why I shoot with a LUT is you're able to get the look in production that post-production wants and what your producer wants. And if you can do that, you give them an easier start point. So if you start with S-Log 3, And then you've got all of your toning and everything done pretty well on set or on the shoot. When your editor gets this, it's so much smoother. The advantage of using like an iPad for this and such is that iPad's one of the most globally used visual, media consumption devices. Macs are, these LCD screens that are on these computers are, the LCD screens that are on your phones. So you're actually seeing what someone would see as a final product pre editing, pre post production. And using these devices with the Sony, you're so far ahead of the Panasonics. Canon does have a similar feature list, but here's the thing for the Canon people out there, you have to have their C series cameras. Sony gives you this in their Alpha series, their FX series, and then all the way up in their other cameras too. So you really do get more with this. And it's kind of one of the coolest things to have. And that's part of the reason why when I watch this debate is does Sony need to do more? I think they're doing a great job. Now, Sony does have the ability to switch between shutter angle and the rest on display. So that part's pretty cool. Here's a video on how they do it. I'm not being paid by Sony, so if it says I'm a Sony shiller, I'm doing that. There you go. Video on how to do it. I switch the shutter angle all the time. So with Sony having shutter angle and the ability to make that control right on the tablet or on your cell phone, oh man, that is just 10 times better. Here's the supported cameras. Like I said, you got a Murano, you got a PXW 7. Let me tell you how much that camcorder is, by the way. So it's a PXW Z300. These things are not cheap. So that camera right there is an $8,000 camera, just so you know. For those out there that want to be like, well, it's a cheap camera. No, these are things we use in high-end production and live productions. It's an $8,000 camera, and it's a camcorder. There's another $5,000 camcorder. There's a couple of other ones that are a little bit cheaper, and then you start getting into the FX series cameras. This is where Sony is just like knocking it out of the park, being able to use all these devices. Now, why is this important? If you're doing in a live event and you have like 6 or 8 of these camcorder type cameras, which we see these all the time when we're doing stuff with like Formosa and stuff, you will be able to just knock it out of the park. Hold on a second. I'm going to throw a video back on for you because I have to catch a phone call here. So I'm going to put a video Hi, y'all. Please forgive me. I had to take that phone call. My wife calls, and I'm just going to take the phone call. If you happy wife, happy life. That's just how it goes. Now, back to the shutter angle thing. Being able to control everything on here and have it going from a $30,000 camera, an $8,000 camera, $5,000 camera, $3,000 camera, go to an FX6, FX30, all the rest of that. This is where this takes us to the next level. And being able to use the same device that you've been using for watching videos, seeing videos, take your iPad and do it, or like I said, when it comes to larger events with these camcorder type events, if you look on at any major events, you'll see a lot of these sitting around at like conventions and stuff. Being able to control 20 of them from your MacBook is just phenomenal. So you're really at a whole nother level there. Markers, displays. Look, Straight up, I love this stuff. This is stuff that I use every day. These are tools I use. This is built into these cameras. So I got markers up that show what aspect ratios I can shoot. And this is one of the things that I was also complaining about when it came to the Panasonics is most of the people who are talking about these Panasonics that are really like saying, hey, this is the greatest thing since whenever because it's open gate. They're not showing you how to use markers to set yourself up for success, except for Vu. Anyone who's watching Vu's videos, the man shows it. But having the markers up does make a huge difference, and being able to put your markers up, and you're going to do custom markers, which is really nice to make sure you got the best shooting position in your safety position. Now, anamorphic D squeeze. Anybody else who says Sony doesn't have anamorphic D squeeze with their FX3s, FX2s, with their A7 IVs, I'm sorry, they do. And they have flavors of it. See, I'm into flavors, and I like shooting with any lens that's out there, and I don't want to say no. So let's get this to the point. If you got a 1.25, 1.3, 1.33, 1.5, 1.6, 1.8, and 2.0, and they do not have a 1.66 because that sucks that they don't. But everything else they have. So if you want to see how that works, here we go. It's really, really simple. You go into the anamorphic D-squeeze menu, and I'll just have them show you here. And there you go. Pick your flavor. There you go. Done with it. Out the door. So when I hear people tell me all the time, we just, it's not there. It doesn't have it. Sony doesn't have anamorphic D-squeeze. It does. They do it through the app. They do it the smarter way instead of the harder way. I love being able to take my tablet and everything else and be able to look at it and go and get things right. What's another nice thing is I can still do all this work from my tablet while still having on my external monitor. So if I happen to have on an Atomos or whatever else I have for monitor, I can still do that, which is really cool. I can still do all these controls and still send a signal out to my video switcher. This is what sets it apart. I don't lose any functionality, but I get a lot with it. Like I said, the anamorphic D-squeeze options are pretty cool. 1.25, 1.3, 1.33, 1.5, 1.6, 1.8, and 2.0. So we got 7 flavors of anamorphic D-squeeze, which y'all need to quit like saying you don't like it. And then this is a feature that's only supported on a few cameras, but I really like this, which is the keep it and don't keep it. No good clips. It's available on the camera itself, but on the app, it's nicest in the FX3 and FX30s. I just happen to like both of those cameras. This is going to be one of those features that I haven't spent a whole lot of time with, but you can crop and frame feature for live streaming, which I haven't used because I don't have these particular cameras. Wish I did. They have manual framings available on some, but this is one of those things where it's a paid plan feature. I wish I had it. And then here's the multi-camera monitoring. For those of you who may or may not know this, I love doing the multi-camera monitoring off of these with an iPad. There's a couple things you need to know right off the bat. I'm going to tell you this. You need an iPad with data, or you need a device that can be used. Samsung's can be. A couple other smartphones can be used as an access point because you need to be able to wirelessly connect your phones. You don't have to use to the camera and their Wi-Fi network, and it'll work on this fine. You do not have to do that jerry-rigged wired connection thing I saw on YouTube recently, and I was gonna have a heart attack because they went through all that effort, and I'm like, man, you're trying to kill yourself. That's not cool. So let's kind of go through this. So can I get this to go full screen? Yes, I can. Cool. Watch. As you can see, that's a 4-camera setup, by the way, 4 cameras. See, if you've never used this before, you're gonna be like, what? That's on an iPad. That's all 4 cameras. There's no wires connecting anything. And you've got all 4 different angles. They're all recording at the same time. It's an FX6, an FX3, an FX3, and an FX30. So you've got different models all together different with this, which is really cool. You're shooting all the different ones. You're synced up on your time code. You're synced up on, all your display stuff. This is something you can't do anyplace else. Lux on there. I I might be crazy, but I really do love these features, mainly because I use them. It's kind of one of those things that's really awesome. You do need to learn how about the switching between them, so I'm going to show you that real quick too. I'm not being paid by Sony. I just love the product and it saves me a lot of headaches. So for those who are watching, thank you for watching. Good night, everybody out there. See this page right here? If you are a producer, if you're a director of photography, butter! I have all the information I need to know what I am doing and get the best out of a shot. This is from an iPad, so I could have like a 14-inch iPad controlling all these different angles. Look at the detail of information. I know Kelvin. I know everything. I know my iris size. I know what my ISO is. I don't know why they don't have shutter angle up. It doesn't matter. It looks like I have 2 manual lenses and 2 automatic and 2 Sony lenses that are in there. It's obvious because one doesn't have focus meters, and it actually tells you how far apart they are from me. It tells you the zoom. I mean, this is the details that you do not get from anyone else. This is why I say Sony uses technology, is not worried about what's on the physical camera, but is worried about what you have here, which is so awesome. Once again, I'm not being paid by Sony, so if anyone says I'm a shill, that's cool. Don't make no difference to me. I am not one. Okay, so back to the rest of the stuff. You can do snapshot. This is a paid feature. I love this. Allows you to get a snapshot and get it ready for like using it on the still for social media, which is awesome. This is, you can do multi-camera monitoring and you changes everything simultaneously if you want to. You got a choice of high resolution monitoring or not. So if you use a USB-C cable, you can connect it directly in it, and there's no lag, there's no nothing. It's beautiful. I've done it so many times that way. Now here's one I was talking about, and this is where if you are a Mac user and you're not using Sony, it's a mistake. You can literally have someone, if you've got someone who's great with interviews, great with lighting, you got all the cameras set up and you're doing a multi-camera interview. I'm not about the B-roll. I'm talking about making sure you got the best looking interview possible or best everything. You're doing a show. This person could be sitting on their laptop controlling all the cameras. So your director of photography now uses technology. I don't need to hold the camera, stand behind all 4 of them and walk between them, make noise. I can sit at my laptop and literally in my MacBook and just controlling the cameras and do everything like I could in tablet and more. And you can control up to 20 cameras. So if you're in one of those situations where you have a panel up and you have other stuff going on, which I've been in panels where 8, 9, 10 people. We did the panel for the mayor here in Seattle. We had like 9 cameras there. Imagine one director of photography, after he sets up all the cameras or she sets up all the cameras, sits down on a laptop and controls them records, get all the settings right, make sure they look great. And of course, the Mac has a perfect screen that it's sRGB perfect, it's DCP3. This is where we go. If you want to sit behind a camera still, if you really, 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 if it's important for you, sorry, Seattle rains a lot. We just had huge flooding. So I had to do a shoot today and I was walking around with my camera, and of course I would need my protection bag today. So if you want to sit behind your camera, hold on to this if you have to, or stand and jump behind all these different cameras, please feel free to. Go to Panasonic, go to Canon, go to every other camera manufacturer out there. Please feel free to. And please tell me how Sony's junk. I'm cool with that. I like the fact I could sit back on a laptop, run 5 cameras at once. So great angles, great this, great that. Get a show set up for these nice new podcasts. So if you've seen the Sean Ryan podcast, you've seen all the rest of them. Please, if you want to go Canon, go do that. If you want to do this brand new Panasonic with Open Gate, please do that. But when I'm sitting on a set and I have digital technology, I'm taking a laptop and I'm taking advantage of these amazing screens, and I'm getting perfect image every single time. I can take an external monitor and get, these perfect external monitors that are 36-inch and 42-inch monitors, and control from a MacBook 5, 10 cameras at once on these panels and on these new shows and on these live streams. I'm going to do that. That literally, I can control my cameras and I can control the ATEM switcher directly from my Mac. Do a live show like that. You don't need 10 camera people on the set. I can run the whole thing. We get it all set up. I don't need 10 camera people. I get it all set up. They're all fixed position cameras. And say, for example, I have 2 dynamic cameras and then I have 8 fixed cameras. I don't need to hire extra people. I can spend more money on other aspects that can enhance the show. I can open up more opportunities for people to run a show better. This is what Sony's doing. And I can still have someone out doing B-roll. And when they're out doing B-roll, I can still see their camera. I can still see their camera. I can literally have an iPad sitting over here specifically for a person who's getting B-roll and be like, oh, that looks great. By the way, can you go over table, whatever table it is? This is what Sony's doing. If you want to go Panasonic Open Gate, that's cool with me. But being able to use digital technology in a better way to make a better product is great. And look at this. This is a license thing. Monitor control. Up to 20 cameras. You're in a set. You have 20 cameras that you control from your iPad or your Mac. Hey, Panasonic, can you do that? Canon, can you do that? Nikon, I'm not even going to ask you because I know you can't. Red, I know you can't. Fuji, I know you can't. So for all of those out there that, I jump on your streams, I have jokes and play around. For all those people who have asked me, why do I stick with Sony? It's because I want to give you the best possible experience. It's because I want to give you the most advanced technologically side of things. And yes, I do miss Open Gate. I got you. But I'm not having a formula that's not perfect. Because the Open Gate you get on the Panasonic doesn't help you much. Like this allows me to do more. That Open Gate doesn't give me all the intro, doesn't give me all the rest. Now here's the thing. All this digital technology, I can still use my HDMI outputs or my SDI outputs to send a signal to an ATEM. To send it to any, ATEM is pretty much the standard now. You go to a concert in any place, that's displaying iMac, they're using an ATEM product, usually like an HD or an H8 4K. But being able to control all these different cameras, from the Buranos to those camcorders to all the rest, to the FX6s, and zoom in and zoom out. Now, here's the thing, like, for example, if you got fixed position, but you need to be able to zoom in on the stage in that area and zoom out, you can do that from the app. You can zoom in and zoom out. You can rack the focus. These are all the things you can do that you cannot do with all these cameras I keep hearing are so much better. Believe me, I like some of the features on them, but if I'm doing a production, I'm pulling out my Sonys. If I need to go do some B-roll, I'm pulling out my Sonys. If I need to be able to film in slow-mo or have an all-intro format, an S-Log 3 that's consistent between every, starting down at an ZVE 10 Mark II, and all the way up to a Burano. I'm gonna be able to do it. And all these features I'm showing you here, you can use with an $1,100 camera. Say that one more time. You can start with an $1,100 camera and do these features. That's the sick part. I love the fact that Sony has pushed the envelope with digital technology and went this route. Today, I didn't have to bring my Atmos monitor. I did not have to bring batteries. I did not, check this out. Hold on. Just in case you don't believe me, watch this video real quick and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I did not have to bring an Atmos monitor, and I had all my false colors, everything, and I could control it from the phone. And as you can see, there's my sorry about that. As you can see, there's my false color. You saw a false color there. You can see the grid map. You can see the focus mapping. I love being able to do that, and I have a color accurate monitor. I can see it in the sunlight. I can see it in there. I didn't have to bring out V-mount batteries, all this other stuff. I was only shooting for like 2 hours, so I only needed my battery that was in the camera and one additional battery in the phone and do my work. This is a cool shoe giveaway, but being able to get all this done perfectly and not have to worry about it is so great. You want Open Gate? Cool, have Open Gate. I will give up Open Gate all day long to have these features, because when it comes to technology, there's nothing better. You need great technology. As you can see, all of these cool features, multi-camera monitoring, all of this, super important. I mean, if you're gonna have tools, have the best tools. You can switch between the angles. Look at that. These are tools I'm going to use. I can give an A.C this now, and I have an A.C being hired because I don't have to hire a whole bunch of other camera ops and keep my beautiful A.C there. And they can control all these cameras for me. So the only dynamic shots ones are the only ones that need camera ops on. So I have one camera op who's handling dynamics between two different cameras. And then say I got a 7-camera setup for this interview, and one A.C. Life is good. All right. We're about 45 minutes into this. For those who watched and listened to me rant and talk about my excitement of this, thank you for watching the whole time through. I appreciate all of you. Everyone have a good night. I'm going to be calling it good here pretty soon. This was kind of my rant on Panasonic and on the rest, talking about how they're so much better, how they have way more features, but they don't. When you can do so much more with digital technology, when you can take advantage of a tablet, when you can take advantage, check this out. When you are literally on set, you see this with your iPad, that is amazing. I mean, you can change your Kelvin, you can change all your features, you can get the cameras lined up properly, you can see the data points on there. This is where we're going. You can see which camera it is, you can see the name of the camera, so you can know which camera needs to make adjustments. These are things you're not going to have from Panasonic and Canon with this type of a look, this type of refinement, and the ability to do 20 cameras. Congratulations, you got Open Gate. Cool. One of your Open Gates has all intro, but it's only a 3.3K. Canon, much love to you with the C50s, because y'all did your Open Gate right. I give you props. I do know it's not a 60, but that's okay. I like the fact it's an all intro. Beautiful. I'd rather have an all intro than a 60 any day of the week. I can always take an all intro and generate more frames, but a long GOP, oh my God, if I have to fix them on there, it's messed up. Like I said, all intro is way easier to regenerate frames with because it's real frames. So yeah, I'll take Canon's C50 all the time. When Sony does open up the open gate on this, what the reason why they hesitant on it, in my opinion, is just my opinion, is because it has to work with all this software. And since all of these cameras have the same codecs, they have the same features from the FX30 all the way up to these $30,000 Murano, they want to make sure everything's working from the $1,100 camera all the way up to the rest. And they'll open up the open gate at some point here. When they do, it's going to be something that no one else was anticipating or expecting to be knocked out the park the way they're going to do it. Now, for those who think that the Panasonic's better, that the Canon's better, that the Nikon's better, that the Red's better, and certain things only. I give Red on some of its color. But using digital technology, it's much better this way. I understand people want extra hardware on this, but when you've already got a piece of hardware right here, when you've already got an iPad, when you've already got all the rest, why do you need to overburden this? Let this work on imagery, not controlling, giving you a LUT pack on it. That's what this is for, with this higher processing capability with less heat going to your camera. You don't need as much of a heat solution here. This is part of the reason why Sony's doing what it's doing, because it was known for having the biggest overheating issues on the planet, because they were trying to do too much with their stuff. Now, you can watch the rest of the video with me if you want. I love this part. This is so cool. Being able to just match up and change everything. Oh, I love this part. When you're on set doing this stuff, until you've actually done it, it's like, oh my goodness, it's crazy. And then like the multi-camera thing here, 20 cameras. Do you see? You could do 20 cameras here. It's absolutely insane. Now let's go up here and see look which cameras they are again. There's a couple people jump back onto the live stream. So let me get up here to the cameras that are available for usage with this. There's so many like cropping and framing features on here. I mean, if you look at this, they're just unbelievable. The anamorphic D-squeeze. By the way, every Panasonic lover out there who's made fun of Sony for not having anamorphic D-squeeze options, look, 1.25, 1.3, 1.33. Yes, I'm beating this in like a dead horse. I'm sorry. 1.5, 1.6. It doesn't have 1.66 though. That pisses me off. 1.8 and 2.0. So that's 7 flavors of anamorphic D-squeeze. You can use an iPad, all the rest. If you want to see how that looks, as a matter of fact, I'll show you how that looks again. Because this part I love, because I love shooting in every new technology capable out there. So around the app, you pick your D-squeeze, pick your flavor, and then guess what? Bam, 1.6. There you go, anamorphic D-squeeze. Right on a tablet, you can see it much better. On an iPad, please. I don't want to see it on a 3 or 4 inch screen on here. I want to see it on my bigger phone or an iPhone or an iPad or a MacBook, or I got a big monitor over here that actually has, perfect color accuracy, and I can see it on there. That's what I want. And I get that with Sony. And I want wireless as much as possible. Now, for all of you Open Gate people, here's what I want everyone to know. You need markers. Sony does this on the app too, which it helps me if I'm doing social media stuff, so I can put markers up to match whatever I want. That's what you're going to have to learn how to shoot with if you're using anamorphics. If you're not used to shooting with a marker and you just go out and shoot with anamorphics, not anamorphics, with Open Gate, you're going to find yourself in a position where you did not set your shot up right, or your team did not set the shot up right, and your post-production is going to be a nightmare. And it's okay. I mean, you're just going to have to maybe reshoot some of the stuff, or it's going to be one of those things you weren't ready for. Either way it goes, yeah, it is what it is. Now, switching between shutter angle stuff, these tells you the cameras that are available to do that. You can do it directly from the app. Let's see what the compatible cameras are for this. Do they still tell you which ones? Look at this. Focus Map. Now, for those who've never used it, the quick show on that real quick. I love Focus Map. I use this all the time. It's way better than focus peaking, because look at that. Whatever's you can see is in focus. These are all the features that you want in the camera, but you don't want to overburden the camera. You want the camera to work on imagery. Let the tablet do the other work. They got the M3 processor, the M4 processor. Soon they have M5 processors in these iPads and these MacBooks. Let them do the work way better than your hardware camera can do. It's simple. It's easy. This is the reality of it. You want the better tool to do it. Why would you want the camera to do all the work when you got a better tool to work with? That's what's important. Now, for my ACs out there who may be watching this, about to give you some cool tools because Sony makes it where you have these awesome tools. Check this out. If you're not interested in focus, this may be a boring video for you, but this is awesome. So you get your iris control, which is just phenomenal. And then you can always get, oh, I got that 1.4. It's a beautiful shot. Then I've got my focus pulling. The focus pulling, I get, here's my minimum point right there. I set my minimum, and then I get her in focus. I set my maximum. And then as an AC, I get to control it. And then you can change the size of it so you can have your smoothness in the focus pull. This is something you can do from a tablet, from your MacBook, from your iPad. Panasonic can't do this, baby. Canon can't, in all of its cameras, it can do it in the C series. This is what sets Sony apart. They're using this. It's the reason why I love shooting with them. I can go with smaller crews, pay my smaller crews better, get better work done for my clients. It's simple. It's crazy. Now, they also has ND filter controls too, which is really awesome if you got like an FX6. So if you got an FX6 with the filter controls, it's great. And then for those who say this doesn't have false color, here's your false color controls. It does have false color. Come on back here. Here's your false color. You literally can turn on false color and get great skin tones. I do it all the time. Get your tones right. I do it every single day. For those who tell me as a Sony user, I don't have these features, you don't know what you don't know. And it's cool. I'm happy for you. You say what you got to say, but I've been watching all of these videos and all of this stuff, and it's just, no. And one of the tools I use all the time is a histo. And one of the things I really like on Sony's histo is check this out. Like if I'm using a histo, I want to be able to read it really easy. And with a touchscreen, check this out. I can bring the histo all the way up and I can see what's going on with him. I can see where his lighting is. I can see where he looks good and the light is blown out because he's got a great clouds back there. It's easy to read. And when you got an iPad or you got a MacBook, this is all available on that. I'm talking just out the park. Here's your supported cameras. So you've got the ZV-1 all the way to FX2, FX30, all that. Look at all these cameras that are supported. I mean, this is just stupidly great. All the operations, all the details. And this is why Sony is better than Panasonic. Sony is better than Canon. They have embraced all the digital technology versus trying to jam everything in a camera and have Panasonic's overheating issues where, oh, it doesn't overheat, but it does. It could overheat, but I'm only going to have it on for 30 seconds here and there for small clips. I don't care. I want to be able to run the thing all day long. The A7 IV can run for 6 hours straight at 4K 60 and still run all this stuff on it. Hey, Canon, where you at? Gerald O'Dunn says 60 minutes max. But he took one of these and went like 6 hours. I'm not mad at the other manufacturers. I'm just tired of this YouTube rhetoric or all these people talking about all these extra things on features that they don't use all the time or don't know it has. Or they're saying we want the most advanced new technology. It's right here. These phones have better processors than this camera could ever have. So why not take advantage of this versus trying to jam more into this, more heat generation, but you want it smaller and things are going to mess up. And the more heat you put on circuit boards and everything, over time, you just burn out things. Phone, iPhone, laptop. Get yourself a MacBook Pro. Check this out. Get a MacBook Pro and you've got a 6-camera setup for interviews. Boom, right there. Your monitor controlling it right off your MacBook. This is sick. You have up to 20 cameras on your MacBook controlling on the set and still running them on a live stream. Or doing live to tape. I do a lot of live to tapes through, thank you, Blackmagic, for your ISO recording, and you also doing as you're going recording, the program recording. So phenomenal. Hold on. I hear, I got a comment here, so let me, by the way, no, they don't have, so True Seeker, let's kind of go with this. I'm gonna go with both of them. They do. Canon, I'm gonna answer some questions now. Canon does not have the multi-camera app in their R6. Sorry, it doesn't. And as for false colors and all the intro in that, D-Squeeze, raw video and all intro, okay, I hear you, but True Seeker, look at the Canon R6 and see, does it have all of it? It doesn't. And I do events. I do a lot of events. And I have this on me for events the same way you have a monitor on your camera, because that 3-inch monitor back here does not work for events. The Canon one doesn't. And I agree with you. We would all love to have all these features. I'm not against you, but we'd all love to have these features. But we do not have the capability of having it all in the same camera without overheating issues. The only one that comes close to it is the Canon C50, which I think is a beautiful one. The Canon R5C, the FX30, and the FX3 are the only event cameras that I could trust to go do large events all day long, but they don't have all these features. And yes, Canon does have RAW. Now, what a lot of people do not know is if you have an FX series camera and you transcode it over to main concept, you get all the RAW features through DaVinci Resolve. I use it all the time. And then when we're talking all intra, I'm giving Canon nothing but love when it comes to all intra with their Open Gate. Beautiful job there with the C50. I think that's absolutely gorgeous that they did that. I think it's one of the areas where they blow Panasonic and Lumix out the water. Anamorphic D-Squeeze. I don't know how many lenses you're using anamorphic D-Squeeze on in events. I hate to say it. As an event videographer myself, I do a lot of events like I did today. Matter of fact, I'll show you real quick since this was an event that was going on. Let me show you real quick, True Seeker. So True Seeker, that event, we were doing a shoe giveaway. So I'm doing B-roll, got cool stuff, got these guys doing soccer ball kicks and all that. So I know what it means to do the event stuff. And being able to have that technology wirelessly without a bunch of wires and everything right onto a nicer monitor, a nicer looking thing, a 7-inch phone or a large phone, can't beat it. I know you think, I get what you're saying, because it's like, okay, I want perfect everything in there. I'll pay $10,000 right now if they pull it all together. This size camera, 5 to 6 inch display, false color, all the other features, a nice fan in it, a processor that matches this right here, like all the way with like an M3, M4 processor, Snapdragon. Oh, absolutely. I would love to have all of that. Mine hasn't overheated yet, True Seeker, by the way. And mostly I'll be using tablets for that. And it hasn't overheated at all, and iPads. Do appreciate the comment. And it's a possibility to overheat the Canon in sunlight, by the way. The C70s, and I've overheated many times in the sunlight. The only camera that I have never overheated in the sunlight is the FX series. And hold on. Tony, let me answer this question for you here. David, thank you for the love. No, True Tone you turn off. You have to go to reference. There's a way to go to reference mode, but you have to go to reference. But wait a second here too. I sometimes do switch it back and forth between True Tone and reference, because a lot of people have their phones on True Tone, so you can see what they're actually going to have. for the image. And that's one of the things I do on references. Even when I'm done editing, I will actually play it on a device, Samsung and an iPhone and an iPad, to see how it looks. And I do a blend of what those are. Also, with false color, you don't have to worry so much about color accuracy because the false color will get you in the right tones for your color. So, for example, let me bring you over here real quick. Boom, 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 boom. False color. Where are you at? So I shoot a lot with false color. And one of the advantages of that is when my monitor was not calibrated, the which this happened to me with an Atomos monitor, and I didn't realize it was way off on calibration. And I hadn't calibrated in a few months. And the color looked wrong on the screen, like this doesn't look right. But because I had false color on there, the same way you can do false color here, you're still able to get your tones and colors right. And being able to do that on your iPad, doing it on your iPhone, even if you're in True Tone, you can still get your correct colors with false color and exposure. Because if you can get within the right exposure points and get the right ranges for skin tones, you then don't have to worry so much about Kelvin and the rest because you can do that stuff in the post. And that is such an important and powerful way to adjust things here. What happened here? Um, and that does make a difference. So when you're asking that question, yes. So that's a great way to go. Um, any other questions on that? Because it's a great question, by the way, because it is one of those things where you're having to do exposure. You want to make sure you get your colors right. On a Mac, you got to do the same thing, and that's kind of important. If you're using like a Samsung phone or something like that, or a Samsung tablet for a single, no, you can't use a Samsung tablet. Samsung phone or the Samsung, it looks like a tablet. So it's the Fold. It's pretty cool what you can do with that. Man, I've been at this for like an hour ranting about how people don't, who have been asking questions on this. I appreciate everybody's been watching. I'm gonna leave this open for another 2 minutes or so for questions. I'll answer any questions you have, and I'll extend it longer if there's questions. So feel free to ask. I'm multi-platform streaming right now, so let me know what I can do for you. Now, I see there's a couple of you from different platforms. So those are watching on Facebook, those watching on LinkedIn, those watching on YouTube, and those watching on YouTube. Thank you for watching. One of the services I do is multicasting. So if you are someone who is doing a podcast, if you are someone who is doing a show, and you're streaming and you want to grow your show, but also show respect to those who are coming on your show, give them ability to show to their audience. We can stream directly to their audience and stream to your audience at the same time. I can stream up to 9 different locations at once, multiple YouTubes, Twitch, the cast, all the rest of that. Any RTMPs or stream keys and make it possible. So does anyone have any questions on tonight's conversation on this? By the way, David, thank you. Oh, how long have I been live streaming? Before there was live streaming, I did my first broadcast since 1993. Oh, what area am I filming from? I'm in Seattle right now, and am I using StreamYard? No, I don't use StreamYard. StreamYard doesn't have a comprehensive enough scene development and pro scene to actually build out these scenes like this. So I'm not using OBS to build these scenes. I'm actually using off premise to do this. So everything is done off premise and it's done on a web based. So I literally am streaming. It's called EVMux. Much better service in my opinion, and I can stream to multiple different services. And if I lose internet, I can still function because it will hold the last frame for up to 30 seconds. Oh, Cine EI. Okay, yeah. I can answer that question real quick, Tony. Yeah. So It's one of those where you need an external monitor. Anyone will work. You need a variable ND filter and understand that it's only, and this is the part where they don't really explain Cine EI, you are only recording in either base ISO or high ISO. So what you do with the external monitor, you can see if you're at a base of 800 to get your exposures properly. And then that external monitor will have all of your exposures correct. And then the other one, you can show if you went up 2 or 3 stops or go down 2 or 3 stops or stop, what it should approximately look like. That's what the Cine EI is for. And they don't explain that very well. I will do a video on it at some point throughout the year. We will be opening a Patreon channel specifically for this to get uh, not just the LUTs for Sony and Sony EI, but it's for every camera manufacturer out there, so that you're in a position to be in a positive and strong position. Um, and did that help, Tony? I hope it did. Uh, Thank you, David. It took me a long time to find a provider that could do the things that doing here. Since this is off premise, it's amazing. I only need HD stream going up, and then they handle everything on the server side and off premise, which is beautiful. Um, you're welcome, Tony. Any other questions on S-Log? I can help you with that. Um, one one thing I would do also, Tony, is if you're starting with S-Log for the first time, I would always put a LUT on to see what it looks like on the monitor, and that helps you with the exposure. If you are using the app, try to keep your histo for the main subject matter right around 600 to 700 in the histo. Um, if you're using an external monitor like an Atomos Ninja, once you put the LUT on, you want to keep it right around 800. It'll give you the most exposure to play with. If you're using, we're going to make sure the LUT actually changes the histo. If it doesn't change the histo, you still want to stay at around 600 to 650. So it's a matter of doing those things there. Back to you, David. Yeah, it took a while to find a reliable setup. This was a lot of work, and being able to switch scenes as if I was using vMix. So, if you've done live events and stuff, you've lived in vMix and you've lived in Wirecast. And I love building scenes and have layers and the ability to have logos and change things out. I love that feature being in a web-based system, so I can put together scene after scene after scene, upload materials. So what's really nice on this is each scene has its own upload, each studio has its own setup, and it's really easy to do. It's been super reliable too. Matter of fact, at one point today, LinkedIn had an issue in the stream with staying connected and then reconnected to LinkedIn. So that it's just gorgeous what this thing can do. Any other questions and stuff? I'm gonna stay on for another 2 minutes. I know sometimes it takes a minute for the questions to pop through. And David and Tony, thank you for your comments today. I appreciate that a lot. And then who was the other gentleman? Truth Seeker. Thank you for commenting too. I appreciate you taking the time to do that. We may not see this the same way, but I love the fact that we can have a great conversation about it, and you're allowed to throw whatever you want in there and say what you want to say, because I want you to get your point of view out there too. Well, I'm down to my last minute or so. Really appreciate everybody watching. Once again, this is a multicast. I'm doing a little bit of advertising here. I am offering the service for everybody. We do custom scenes. We do 10-minute scenes. We can do animated graphics, PNGs, logos, all the rest. Make each scene separate from the other. Have things automated. Make sure that you're running and you have a producer going for your show. We can bring in guests from anywhere up to 11 guests. We can stream to up to 9 different providers and services. So if you're bringing in guests who have their own people, they have their own channels that may have 100,000, a million 4 million viewers, instead of it being locked into yours, which may still be growing, or maybe even have a million subscribers to your channel. But imagine if you were doing a live show, or you're doing your podcast show that's live, and not only do you have your 1 million, you have every guest 4 million, 3 million, 2 million, 100,000, all the rest of that streaming out. For example, if you have 4 guests on the show and then yours, and each one of your guests has got 2 million subscribers, and you have 2 million subscribers, now you have up to 10 million people out there with the capability of watching what you do. This is the reason why I'm bringing this service out to everybody, to give them an opportunity not only to grow their channels, but to be even better with what they do. We make custom scenes, and we also give you options to throw in commercials too, or have break periods and have 2 and 3, 4 minute break periods, because I know it's on a longer stream, you may want to have that. So once again, thank you for watching. There's a specialist going on right now, and you can see in the ticker below. Looks like there's a couple left on here. This is why Sony is better than Panasonic and all the rest, in my opinion. Feel free to watch this again. Reason why I think Sony is better is because they're taking advantage of the real technology, the M4 processors, the M5 processors, the MacBook Pros, even the Android products, to give you the best digital technology and get you the best imagery, the best everything out of their cameras, and not putting the load in the camera. They're putting the load on the technologies out there that's even better, that has better processors, so they can focus on imagery versus trying to get some answers on histogram and everything else, which can be done remotely. And also being able to, for us in productions who are looking to have the most opportunities for all of our teams, imagine being able to send out 5 teams of 3, it's 15 people, 5 different interviews, where you have an AC and lighting person together, you've got a dynamic camera person and producer. That's it. 3 people doing that work, and you can run like 6 and 8 cameras that way for a large interview setup. And you got lighting, so you're able to produce more and get more people to work. This is what Sony does with their technology. This is why they're leading the way in the areas, and why so many of us in production are like, once we figured out the technology, you got a tech guru on your team, they're like, yeah, we're never going away from these cameras because you get so much more. Thank you for watching tonight. My name is William Davis, or Dub D. I own A.P.C Photography. I have the pleasure and to be able to come online and talk with everybody, and also work in the Seattle area. Um, if you have any questions or would like to check out what we do, feel free to look up A.P.C Photography from the website, see what we do, and y'all take care. Have a good night. Thank you.